said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch! You filthy... State of fear. All right, welcome back to Flyover State of Fear with my guest Alyssa Kempinski. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Joe. It's good to see you since high school.
Yeah, no. So for those tuning in and listening, I adjacently know Alyssa for since high school, but not like. Really, like we had acquaintances.
I don't think we've ever spoken high school, but
I think we had gym.
I know what you look like, and I
might have
a crush on your older brother.
Oh, okay. That most people do, so that's fine.
Did he wrestle?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Same.
I had a crush on all of the wrestling boys.
That's funny. Yes. No. Me and my brother both wrestled, and no, that makes sense. I've heard that quite a bit. No, I think we had gym together. But anyway, so what?
Joe, I'm so sorry.
I don't think you have to apologize for that. There's like 60 people in that gym class.
Maybe I had a crush on you. I don't remember.
You're fine. It's all good.
All right. Anyway.
So anyway, you've joined me today to talk about Disturbia, and tell me a bit about yourself though before we talk about the movie and all of that stuff. This is really funny. Bringing up the high school though-ness of it, because this talking about Disturbia is like right then. I think I'm a freshman.
Yeah. It came out in 2007, and that was when I was 17. Please don't do the math. But I am Alyssa. I'm an actor, and I am most well known for my work in the VelociPastor.
Yes, so. We're talking a bit before about it, and so those don't know, Alyssa is in the cult modern classic VelociPastor. And for this show, I don't know, it's so bad it's good movies, and that's what it is, right? I mean, but you purposely made it. It's not like, it's not like we're talking about your Tommy Wiseau trying to convince yourself that like The Room is good, and then you buy into it 10 years later.
I don't know. I mean, Tommy's got a lot going for him. He had a spin-off movie.
He's made a lot. No, so the thing with him though, he's made a lot of movies, and the food he was trying to redo what he did originally, and you can't do that for that lane. You're a little, like I said, the VelociPastor is a little different. It's like you guys had a vision, and you made that vision like. The CGI, insert CGI graphic is hysterical. Like
the
explosion, I think it was.
Yes, VFX.
Yeah, it's a really good joke.
I'll tell you a little story about that quick. So that was actually a holding spot. We were going to blow up like a Matchbox car, but it was the first time that when people were watching the early cuts of the movie that they would laugh.
Oh.
And so we decided to keep it.
I laughed.
It caused so many we screened in a film festival in Philly, and my brother's in Philly, and my family's kind of close to Philly, so I went to that festival, and before we got there, the festival called me, and they're like, I think you sent us the wrong copy of the movie, because they have the VFX title card. And I was like, no, that's the right one.
It's a good joke. It's a really good joke. So anyway, my point being is you're in it, and I highly recommend anyone to check it out. Like I was telling you before in the show, is we just discovered it organically, and that's me and my wife and our friends like to watch movies. We can have fun too, play drinking games too, laugh at and enjoy, for well-heartedly. And so, and I was like, oh shit, I know her. I was like, I don't know her, but I know her. And anyway, so But yeah, so because of that, I did reach out to you because I was like, oh, we're a horror podcast, and they figured why not? That is adjacent. I do recommend that movie though. If you are looking for like crack a few beers or whatever and have a good time, totally worth the rental. But what else you got going on?
Well, I am in order to get myself through the pandemic, I started a small business where I refurbish garbage. It makes me calm to like work with my hands, and so I started doing that, and it's been nice to work for myself because as an actor you have to do a lot of side jobs in order to make things work. And yeah, because I think it just really aligned with like my environmental principles, which is I'm pretty obsessed with the amount of trash that we make and
sure,
all that fun stuff.
Yeah, no, if you, yeah, I follow you on Instagram, and I think I follow your business on Instagram. If it has an Instagram, I can't keep track of what I follow, and it looks really cool. If I like, right, especially if you're in the New York area, give it a shout. So, another question we ask on this show is, what is your horror origin story? Because like little peel back the curtain, I said, can you want to do the show? And you're like, well, I don't like horror movies, but I said, that's fine, it's perfect, I don't mind that. My wife actually one day she'll be on, but I'm teasing her that she can't come on because she refuses to watch them, especially because of The Ring. And I said, well, you have to watch it if anyway. So my point being is, it's not a new lane.
Well, now that you mentioned The Ring.
Oh, there's a thing.
No. My horror origin is a different movie, but similar time period. Well, and I want to correct you. All right, let's start from the beginning. I'm going to correct you. I don't dislike horror movies.
Is that what I said?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a baby, and I'm scared of horror movies.
Oh, so she dislikes. Okay, there's a difference.
Yes. So
there's a difference.
I'll never forget. I don't know if you remember Molly Collier and Blair Fraser, my best friends from high school.
I know them. I don't know them, but I know them.
You know them.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Molly and
Hello,
Blair.
guys.
So they made me watch Prom Night one night in Blair's basement, and I stayed for like 5 minutes of it, and then I cried and had a hissy fit at her, like a teenager, like 17 or 18, at her house, and left in a fury because I was so mad they were making me watch a scary movie. And then also my friends from youth group, back when I was in youth group.
Okay.
And
we'll let that one marinate.
They made me go see The Grudge.
Okay, yeah.
And that was horrible and very scary. And so I am terrified of horror movies. But the one movie that I watched in high school, which I realize now rewatching it because I was apparently just like a horny teenager, is Disturbia, because it's really not a horror movie.
It's a thriller. I count it.
Movie.
I count it. It's a thriller. I would have corrected you if I didn't.
Okay.
But back to
thriller. It's got horror vibes.
It's thriller. It's on Wikipedia today there was its own horror.wiki like thing for it, so I think we could count it. But back to your origin movies. Which Prom Night, by the way, was it the original Jamie Lee one, or was it the remake from the 2000s?
I am gonna guess, since we were in the 2000s, it was the remake. Of the 2000s.
Yeah, those are. I mean,
because I was busy crying.
Yeah, that's so funny. No, yeah. So that Grudge though, because you're I've like talked to a decent amount of people now, and everyone, like, even their ages, like I've spoke to most people from like the age of like, I don't know, say 30 to 40 or 45-ish, and everyone kind of has the same like 3 or 4 movies that like fuck them up, and a Grudge, I think, is adjacently to The Ring like that, right? They're the same Japanese horror remake. They're the same scary. Yeah. So I get it. No, but there are always these things that'll keep you away, right? And then is anything that kind of brought you back in the fold, at least? Like,
oh yeah, well, my career has been pretty adjacent to horror films for a long time. The first movie I ever did was a horror movie. I've
Mhm.
done a lot of.
You starred in Disturbia. I mean,
What? No.
you look just like the girl.
Really?
Strikingly similar.
Sarah Romer, and for a lovely little 2000s, mid 2000s fact, she is married and has 2 kids with Chad Michael Murray. What a throwback!
Wait, I've definitely read that fact, but I thought it was about a different actress.
No, Sarah Romer.
That is very 2000s.
And thank you for telling me I look like.
Yeah, no, I was watching. I was like, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that, and it's and I'll bring it up later because there's another movie that's so similar in like the voyeurism thing, and it's like, yeah, that and like Imogen. No, not like Imogen Poots. It's all very similar, kind of girl next door. For Fright Night remake. But that's a good one. So anyway, yeah, that's so funny. That you picked though Disturbia, because it is like before I like break down the plot and everything, like I told you before, we jump around, spoilers, whoever's listening, I mean, whatever. It's so 2000s, like breaking this movie down. It was like, it brought me back to being like seeing the movie, and I kind of couldn't remember if I had seen it in theaters. I probably did. This was a movie that I'm gonna generalize here, but like I swear every girl I met between like high school to maybe college-ish owned 3 DVDs. Disturbia, Juno, and I still can't think of the third one, but there was a third one. Gardens, that's one there, or like Garden State, or like Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, like, and it was like, because I don't know why it was always like, oh, I have some movies, and it was like, oh, you know, okay, I don't want to watch.
Always those. You're right. I have all of those DVDs.
Yeah, and anyway, so that's funny. It's just an observation. I'm like, because you can go.
Well, it's such a quintessential teen movie, and so something I didn't mention before when we were talking about me is that we are working on making a second VelociPastor 2, and I am one of the producers on that. So I've been wearing a new pair of shoes for this job, and definitely looking at things through that lens, and looking at this movie through that lens. I was realizing like what a studio film it is because of the marks that they keep hitting. Like, first 5 minutes of the movie, you meet him and his dad, and then his dad dies, and then they never explain like this crazy murder thing that happened.
I have so many. All right, so let's just dive into it because you just did, and it's great. But yeah, it's a studio movie. I mean, so this movie is a Steven Spielberg film, first of all.
Wait, really?
He's a producer on this.
Okay.
So, really importantly, this is a Shia LaBeouf movie.
Yeah.
And I like, so I really like.
Shia? We're talking about Shia?
Oh, well, yeah. So I want to put a disclaimer on, like, Shia as a person is, especially today, is very like there's things about him problematic. There's I had kind of wanted to delve into Shia a lot onto this. I was thinking beforehand, and so, but specific, like, and I think he's a really interesting career and actor. He's an extreme method actor. Yeah. At least that's what I read. I mean, you could correct me on any of this.
Method actor, like saying method actor to an actor is kind of confusing because, like, technically everyone uses a method, and when they say method actor, it usually means like a specific.
He's an asshole, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
But I also do think, like, if you ever watched Honey Boy, I think it's
called. Oh, it's great.
No, but that's like his. Isn't that the one he directed?
Yeah, no, he wrote it and directed it. Not wrote it. He didn't direct it.
His origin story, and so it's not to say that like he is not an asshole. He's an asshole, but he's absolutely
no. He has a lot of trauma, and like there's
that does not excuse any of the shit that I've heard about.
Yes, that's
all of that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not about to praise him on any of that, and honestly, it's upsetting to me, like, knowing all this shit about him. But like objectively, with all of that put
Mhm.
aside for this conversation right now, he's a great actor.
Oh, I wanted to. That's why I wanted to bring that. I did want to bring that up because I
Yeah.
feel like especially like things like that are like an elephant in the room where you're like, why are we praising this or whatever? And then it's like, well, and so I thank you for bringing that up because you kind of explained how I kind of what I wanted to explain on that exactly because it's not relevant to the movie we're talking about in the sense of like him. But I do want to talk about 2007 Shia. And like I said, yeah, if you watch Honey Boy and like, there's all these things going behind the scenes of him,
Yeah.
but this is how. So I'm gonna look at his career. This is before we get in the movie. So yeah, Steven Spielberg sees holes. This is whatever I read, by the way. So disclaimer: this might not be
I was
accurate.
obsessed with Holes.
So go on my Instagram. Me and my friends were the cast of Holes for Halloween 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I was Madame Zeroni. My wife was kissing Kate Barlow, and the rest of our friends, a bunch of her girlfriends, were all the members of Holes. We won a costume contest. We were very proud of it. We're back-to-back champs.
I appreciate a costume contest win. I am the reigning champion of my Halloween contest. Well, it's not mine. It's a friend of mine for the past 5 years.
Nice. Same. We are Asbury Ale House. We are back-to-back champs at the.
Yeah.
We won Shrek this year because we didn't do it last year.
Oh, Shrek! That's cool.
Yeah.
I was Cruella DeVille, but the cartoon version with the scary eyebrows.
Oh yeah.
And I put a leash on my partner.
That's fun. So he does Holes, right? And he's in kind of these Disney movies and obscure comedies, I'd say, if you look at his IMDb. And he's just kind of this kid in Even Stevens.
Yeah.
And then Spielberg plucks him, and that's how I'm going to describe where we're at. And because he thinks he's going to be this relatable, everyman. And then if you look what the movie's in, 2007, I have a note here. He hosts SNL.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Disturbia.
Yeah.
Then Transformers comes out.
I was going to say, then he's the Transformer era, right?
And he's doing and then he's Shia LaBeouf. He's a big name. And then you could tell, but if you look at his IMDb, he's in whatever contracts. He's in this movie Eagle Eye by the same director that this movie is. It's like a political thriller.
Well, yeah, but also the way that I think a lot of people, I mean, there were probably contracts, but if you think about it, for example, you work with whoever you work with on your day-to-day job, mm-hmm. and then if you like working with those people, you work in the same office. So that's why a lot of directors and actors end up working together and teaming together for a long time, is because they just
sure. Yeah, he takes
this contractually.
Oh, I only say that because of the studio aspect of it, and this is only my knowledge, which is just a person who reads movie news, so take it with a grain of salt. But if you look, it's Indiana Jones, right? He was being passed the mantle to be Indiana Jones. It didn't happen because the movie was terrible that he was in, but that was the intent.
Yeah.
His name was I forget, Butch or something. I don't think it was Butch, but it was something weird. And then, but you could see the general stop. It's a Transformers movie, and then it's indies. It's these dramas, and there's some really good movies he's in. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about it because it's really interesting, career path there. In between Disturbia and Transformers, he does do an art house film called New York, I Love You, which are little vignettes.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's okay. I remember watched it once. It's okay. So anyway, back to Disturbia.
I remember him being naked in that.
I don't remember it that vividly, but yeah.
I was into indies in high school.
Yeah.
Thing. And
yeah,
so I watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and then of course Garden State started as indies, and then they rose to the top for all teenage girls, and then I fell in love with this idea of indie, and that was when I because of those two,
David Gordon Green stuff and all that.
Yeah.
Yes. Mumblecore-ish movies, and
yes. I love stuff.
It's funny you mentioned Garden State. So I am in 6th grade, 7th grade, I think. I don't know. Probably maybe younger, 5th grade. And they
No.
filmed.
Yeah, they filmed at Rick Snyder's house.
Oh, they did. Yeah, so they filmed. They put the trailers in the Orange Avenue pool parking lot. I didn't meet anyone. I just don't want this lead anyway. But we noticed them. Like, filming a movie. Blah blah blah. And I've been into movies since I've been like 6. Like I just, like. So I remember me and a friend. We ran over. There's just 2 of us. Knocked on the trailer. And it was like a woman probably worked hair and makeup or something. Like we're like, what is it? There's no one in the trailer. It's just where the town let them, I think, leave the trailer.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's a movie called Large as Arc, starring the guy from like Scrubs. And we're like, okay. And I kind of like forgot about it, because I had been, I had 10 maybe, the audacity to do that.
Yeah.
And anyway, so. It's my only real memory of Garden State. So Large as Arc. And I Googled it years later and I was like, that's the movie. That's the one they were filming.
Well, a lot of the time they'll shoot, like, for example, I remember, they were shooting Russian Doll in the pandemic, like on the street that I walked by every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at they have always the green, like, on the streets in New York, they'll have all the trailers out, of course, but then they have the paper or the flyer, basically their permit saying, and then the permit usually will say production title.
Yeah.
And there's always like a fake name.
Yeah, it's fake. Yeah.
Production title. So that was Black Gumball.
Oh, okay.
Like there's lots of different, and Large
Star Wars
could have either been what it was or their fake name. You don't know.
His name's Large.
Yeah.
The most famous fake title of all time is Blue Harvest for Star Wars.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, it's what they shipped to the.
You are a movie geek.
Yeah.
Are you a Star Wars movie geek?
I like Star Wars.
Okay.
God
is an insane Star Wars movie.
That's a puzzle I did. But I'm a little burnt out of it. Like I like the movies and they're not like insane about it. Anyway, this guys, welcome to just us discovering other outputs of movies we like. So the movie starts off and they're fishing and it's him and his father and it's a nice scene and so it sets up father-son bonding and then kind of like you said, if you do know beats, like something bad's gonna happen. I have one note on this one is because he's supposed to be 16, 17. I wish he just shared a beer with his dad there. It would have been better than a Coke.
He's not old enough yet.
Also, who the hell Flyfish is? That's just a note. I don't understand it.
My question is, where do they live? They're
California.
Shooting it in it. Yeah, but then they're like the city.
They shot in
LA.
They shot in LA, like
movie ever from 2007.
They shot in LA, but like where are they? I mean,
in the world of the movie, I want to know where they are.
They're somewhere in California. That's all I could get. Because at first I did think, with the movie, I did think that we were in a different. I thought we were in one of those like no-name towns, like no name, no state. Just how the lead girl refers to the city, right? She says, "Oh, I'm from the city." Like it's very vague until you see the license plate. It's California.
Oh, it's California. Well,
it's California.
Yeah,
it took me a minute.
The city.
Yeah, no, it's the city, and it wasn't like how we would say the city, right? Like you live in New York. And because of where we grew up, we would say the city, but like I live near Philly, and if someone ever called Philly the city to me, I want to hit them. It's not the city.
Oh, but in Jersey, growing up in Jersey, talk to me, Joe. Growing up in Jersey, did you not call New York the city?
I still call it the city. It's the city. If I'm in Philly, yeah, I go to the city. So that threw me off. So anyway,
because I feel like no one else does that.
Oh yeah, everyone calls it the city. I don't know. Maybe it's just us. Maybe it's our location.
I don't know.
So let's just fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is one of the more, and I like waiting on the intro scene a while because it's one of the more like graphic Car accidents they show in a movie, especially like a PG-13, like breezy thriller. Like that's what this is, a breezy teen thriller. This is a really good, before we begin with this movie, by the way, or we're beginning, I just want to say, if I shit on it, I think this is a really good like starter horror or something for people. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
But there are moments, so we're
It's
gonna
a stupid movie.
So anyway, Car freaking rocks. They both would have been dead or at least paralyzed, but Shia kills his dad.
No, it doesn't. What happened is the car pulls in front and
it's
another
an accident.
car pulls behind, and that is an intentional move. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's like malice.
Yeah, and then the
that
car
doesn't happen in real life.
And then they're changing a tire like right in the middle of the road, so he has to swerve around, flips another car. His dad's dead. And rightly so. We fast forward a year later, and he's just you could tell he's a troubled, loner teenager. He doesn't have the same brightness in his face.
Hold on. Do you remember his name in the movie?
Oh.
Can we talk about that?
Oh, Kale? The least believed.
Brecht.
I didn't pick up on the Brecht part.
Like, are they referring to, like, Brecht?
Like, what, Brecht? What do you
Brecht
mean?
is a playwright, and he's known for,
probably.
this, like, surrealism, like, weird, like, meta theater shit.
Oh, so I didn't know. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know. Kale Brecht. Anyway.
No, it's an obscure name. I have it right. I have the plot right here. And yeah, Kale, that was my one note. That's the least believable part of this movie, that his name was Kale.
I mean,
so thank you.
California to me.
Yeah, but Kale? But Carrie-Anne Moss ain't naming her daughter, her son Kale.
I don't know, man.
So, and by the way, yes, his mom is Carrie-Anne Moss.
Mm-hmm.
And they had sexual tension.
House, and yet she's always worried about money the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
how was that?
Sold. Oh, he just has disposable, like gluing all those Twinkies. They're just wasting money.
Yeah.
So the accident happens. Fast forward, and this is the part where, like, you got, any movie, you gotta suspend your disbelief of things, but like, everyone will be giving this kid a break for the rest of his life, at least his high school life, until someone doesn't know his story.
That's true.
It's, but he's not interested in Spanish class. No one is. I wasn't. And the Spanish teacher makes a remark of like, "What would your dad think?" And he pops him. And I honestly was like, "Good. You should have." Like, just because you shouldn't have, but like, it comes off the thing, and then this movie's like does too many time jumps as just a movie.
Yeah.
So then we jump to him getting disciplined, and it's like, well, it should just be assault and he should pay a fine, but you know what, you're on house arrest.
Yeah. And then Viola Davis is in his house.
And then Queen Viola Davis is like doing the Lord's work of being in this movie, and you're like, I guess just get that paycheck at this time, because she's better than this movie.
She deserves so much more.
She's
been doing this shit for so long.
I know. I saw her, and then it's big bold caps. I forgot that Viola was in this. I forgot a lot about this movie.
I did the same thing. Viola Davis? You probably can't see it.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I'm like, holy shit. So she's in it, and I kind of rather see her movie as a cop. I also wrote ACAB a ton in this movie because the cops are terrible in this movie.
No, yeah.
I mean, like, awful. Like, there's one cop in this California town that's the brother of the guy, or the cousin of the guy he popped. And he's like, I'll be back to check on you anytime. And he's like ready to take down Shia. It's sadistic. He just punched him in the face.
It feels like very like from the perspective, like they did a good job of targeting their teen audience, because it always felt like it was really coming from the perspective of the teen. Because I didn't really have like much of an opinion about anything political or whatnot.
Oh, I wasn't trying. Oh, by the way, when I say that, I wasn't trying to get political.
You don't need to go to politics. I don't want to, but
No, I just was like funny, but like hated the cop watching. I just hated the cop. That's my point of saying.
But I just like remember being a teen and like I don't know, like smoking pot in a garage somewhere and like being afraid of cops. So like not
sure.
them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't look at it that way. That's a good point.
Well, it like comes from that teen of like.
There's an angst to it.
This movie's so angsty.
Well, yeah.
Wait. Hold on. My most recent note. Pure teen angst.
Wow, you yeah. I mean, look at his room. I wanted his room. I'm still trying to replicate that kind of room.
Then I wrote, his mom works in a restaurant. Make it make sense.
They could have made her a doctor.
They could have made her literally anything. They could have never mentioned it at all, and it could have just. But why? There was like always these comments about like, oh money, and it's like,
yeah.
Maybe.
So that's an odd thing about this movie too. Like I said, it's really enjoyable. So I don't want to like completely just shit every minute of it. But like, they don't have any like payoff for anyone's like trauma, right, or anything like the mom money financially. This serves no purpose to the story to me. He doesn't have any sympathy for me. There's no scene of like, wow, mom, I've been a real ass to you. Like, let me do, even during the climax of it all. So
none of that mattered. That was all just fodder to the one little horny story in the middle.
Listen, you want to talk about horny? So I bought the Blu-ray of this movie, and even the DVD menu, the Blu-ray menu, is still like, yeah, this is teen sex comedy, like it because it's the video of like her getting dressed and then like.
Used to have the DVD, and I remember the intro page, and it's like
it's still the same,
zooming in,
yeah.
And it's her getting.
Yeah, it's just her.
Her intro. Can we skip to her intro?
Yeah, no, we can jump around. I kind of like. We could jump around because I think you're gonna have the same note I have about her. So just let me know what you think about her.
Okay, my note about her. Wait, where's my first note about her? I'm not gonna read that one. Why does she strip in a room of only windows? I hate the 90s. Also, it's honestly a huge surprise it didn't come out as queer sooner. Wow, that was what I wrote.
That's funny. Yeah, and this movie is I mean it's not, they won their lawsuit, but it's a remake of Rear Window, right? Like it's Alfred Hitchcock. And actually right after this, I put on, and this serves what you're talking about, the windows. I put on Rear Window. It's kind of boring. I watched an hour of it, but I put it on after this. And I guess because that's made in the 50s, it's just sets with no blinds, no windows, and just people. Like, same thing, voyeurism, watching.
Well, isn't it in New York City? Doesn't it take place in New York City?
Yeah.
Okay, well, as someone who's lived in New York City for 10 years, I don't really pay attention to blinds and stuff because most people aren't on the 5th floor, so they can't see what I'm doing in my room. So I do kind of believe that.
Okay. But in the suburbs.
I'm still very conscious of whether or not when I'm getting dressed in my childhood bedroom, if Mr. and Mrs. Fiamingo can see what's going on.
Yeah, it's so she just out the gate, and like I said, I get it, this is not what this movie's about and everything, but I can't help sometimes watch these in like a more modern eye. Yeah. Is like, she's just your manic pixie dream girl. There is nothing wrong with her. She's cool.
She's a terrible actress.
What? This is her second movie. This is her second or third movie.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
everybody. I cannot believe they just gave some random hot girl with terrible acting a blockbuster movie. I quit today, right now.
You quit because of Sarah Romero.
Married to Chad Michael Murray and has 2 kids. What a 2000s fever dream.
You know what they need to do? They need to get out of retirement. Not in retirement, I don't think so, but they need to get out of retirement and make a Christmas Hallmark movie together so I could enjoy it.
Hallmark movies don't pay very well.
I know. Thank you for that. But we eat them up.
You guys like them?
Well, the Christmas movies. We're talking. We have my Wednesday movie club. We watch them.
Oh, you watch the Hallmark movies?
We're in the throw of like 12 dates. Well, I mean, that's ABC Family and shit, but like 12 Dates of Christmas and like Christmas Bell. Anyway, they're terrible, but I love them.
Yeah. They're all for the most part non-union and shot in Georgia nowadays.
Yes. So anyway, she is a terrible actress. Like it sucks because the cast in this is really good. I mean,
yeah,
Carrie-Anne Moss, and it's incredible.
David Morse.
Oh, David Morse. David Morse is doing more than he should in this movie. So is Shia. So is Shia.
Like, no, I think Shia does. I mean, honestly, Shia is a teen and he's carrying the movie.
Yeah,
so that says a lot to what he can do as an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that well though, and this movie would have still been fine. But
this movie was a
teen dream because he was so good and angsty.
I remember being surprised. I remember being surprised when a cousin of mine, who's around our age, was like, "Oh, like she had like Shia LaBeouf on her background of a computer," and being like, "Oh, like that's who you're into," not because he's anybody means ugly or that, just being like, sure, you know.
No, but I do have to say, like, I agree with you because Shia LaBeouf wasn't really hot.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't think I was like, I think he's handsome, but he's not hot. And that was
conventionally, he's not hot. Yes. Especially at this time, but it is like an energy thing. Like he's a good actor, and he's his conviction, and that is hot. And
this time, to compare it to today, you know, he's Pete Davidson his way through the world right now, right? You're not talking about her. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, but back to the movie. Yeah, we fast forward. He's on house arrest. I remember also really enjoying the stand-up of this movie for me was his best friend, Ronnie. Like just really funny, like stole the movie. It's that comedic thing. Actually, he was in the Friday the 13th remake.
Was he really?
And he steals. It's at the same time. In the movie, it's Ronnie. His name.
What's his name in real life? I need to know it.
I'm finding it.
Okay.
And he steals the movie in his name is Aaron Yo, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh, you killed it. Although I have to say the ringtone was like
it was racist. It was racist. No, the ringtone was one of my notes. The ringtone's racist. I know well. I probably laughed at it in 2007 or was like, yeah. And same with so there is one big red flag here of me, then it's just riddled in movies in the mid 2000s and content, and to this day, like I'm not a very big sensitive person with a lot of things, but so my one won't say is it has a hard R, not the N hard R, like has the slur, the R word in it.
I don't.
The little kids yell it at him.
Yes.
Yeah, I hate that word. And it's not anything this movie did because it's in every watch any comedy from ever pre 2018. It's like and it's like ugh. Anyway, so but yeah,
I didn't actually catch that, but that was because I was doing other things while I was watching the movie. But I'm disappointed.
Yeah, that was.
But also not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. It wasn't, and especially the little kids running it, saying it was like.
It's similar to when little kids in movies at the time were like, "You're gay."
Yeah, I'm actually surprised this didn't have a lot of homophobia in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is an enjoyable. When I ever say that though, it's an enjoyable movie. It's not.
No, totally.
I get time.
I don't think anyone's worried about that.
No, I know.
We chose the movie, but we're gonna shit on it right now.
Yes, that's what's the point of having a podcast if you're not shitting on movies? So. This is literally, use of R word. And then I say ACAB again. That was just my note. I assume the cop showed up and I think they beat his ass or something. But
this is where I discovered Kings of Leon.
Oh no, that's another. The soundtrack of this movie is phenomenal. Okay. You know what's not cool?
What?
Is I looked up and I was like, this movie has to have one of those movie songs. So remember this time, any movie had a big hit song. I mean, like, but it's not the same time. But like Spider-Man 2 would like vindicate it, right?
His movies during that time, I mean, everything was so streamlined at that time. Like everything is coming out constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much content. We're not thinking about like the studio system, but at this time, like you waited for the movie to come out. You saw the commercials for it when you were watching TV, and then you went to the movie.
Yeah, I probably saw this in theaters.
And so, but those movies and also the record companies were all owned by the fucking same company.
Yeah, so DreamWorks is DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
So what surprised me, and I don't have it in front of me, was like I said, I went through the Blu-ray and stuff, and before I even start talking about it, I've been thinking about like the movie and the recording and all that, and I was like, this movie has to have like some like banger like to it, right? No, it's like the slow song when they kiss by, I think, you know what? I'm not going to waste the time to like remember it, but it wasn't good, right? The
You
movie,
know, I can't remember it. Oh, la 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 la.
oh yeah, but then we have Maya Rudolph's mother. Like, yeah, it's, I can't do that one. I can't do any of them. No. And then we also have a Lou Rawls part, which was my favorite part. And I was like, oh, could we keep playing You'll Never Find? So I don't even think so. It doesn't matter. So Shia is like watching the neighbors. That's the basis of everything. He's watching the neighborhood. He's getting bored of TV and like jerking off every day and just watching the neighborhood.
He was itching his leg.
Okay, listen. When the camera cut away, he was jerking off every day.
Oh, wait. This has nothing to do with anything, but do you want to hear my theory?
Sure.
Okay. My theory is in, what the fuck is it called? The movie with the Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
And there's the boss guy, and he's a real creep, you know? Charlie.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about not Bill Murray?
No, that's not his name. His name's not Bill Murray.
Well, no, the actor Bill Murray is in Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, but the one with the cat.
Oh, are you? Anyway, what's the theory?
None of it matters. The actor doesn't matter.
Okay.
But the action of him slowly petting this cat.
Yeah.
Like, think about, like,
it's
in my mind, like, the energy of this guy, he's actually, like, slowly jerking it.
So you
they gave him a cat because they can't have a man slowly jerking himself off.
So you use Charlie's Angels as an example, but that's, like, what I relate that from is from James Bond. That's...
Oh, James Bond?
That's Blofeld petting Miss... I think Jinx or something. No, that's another person. Anyway, he has a cat. I was about to say the Austin Powers, Mr. Bigglesworth, but no, that's from James Bond, and that would make sense. Power, and then if you want to fast forward, where they kind of allude to it again, like, so one of my pandemic things was I watched all the Bonds.
Okay.
And into the recent one, Skyfall, you know, which are a little with Daniel Craig is.
I haven't watched it.
You know, I don't.
No.
Or they all blend together. But the stroking, I mean, it's reminiscent of Skyfall features, the villain is Javier Bardem, and they allude basically like he's queer. And they have him Bond tied up, and he rubs his legs. Like, okay, Mr. Bond. You know, and it's very, like, they play into each other with it.
But it's a control thing, and I feel like that physical movement is really, like, to dicks.
So my point of bringing that up to that is your alignment makes sense. I've never thought of it that way, but that makes sense. That is exactly what that's being.
Because when I work, I remember it's like a physical thing. Like, you think about, like, how the fact that they thought of a thing that they could do that would give you the energy and the power dynamic of someone, like, fucking jerking off to you without showing you that, like...
Ooh, I'm never going to look at someone petting a cat the same way.
Oh, no, but that's different.
No, I
in movies when it's, like, slow.
Yeah, so that's clearly that's great. So anyway, Shia, that's where I've come to is just if if you know what, if I'm on house arrest, that's all I'm doing all day. That it's anyone would, man, woman, and so he's now watching the neighborhood, and he has it to a T. Then he starts noticing they're really heavy-handed of like what the murder is going on.
Yeah.
The missing women, and all movies do that. Like I said earlier, one I really suggest, and DreamWorks also put it out, is Fright Night. They remade Fright Night with Colin Farrell and Anton Yelchin and Imogen Poots and David Tennant, and it's phenomenal. And, yeah, and it's the same. It's the same. It's the same setup. He's
away, right?
Yeah.
God,
but
I loved him.
His neighbor. You watch this movie. His neighbor's a vampire, though.
Oh,
right. He's not trapped in his house.
A vampire movie.
He's not trapped in his house, but his neighbor's a vampire. Like, okay. And he's like, figuring out what's going on in the neighborhood. There's a movie with Tom Hanks called The Burbs that this is just like, where that person has dead bodies in their house, and the neighborhood's going to figure it out. And that's a really good comedy too. It's Tom Hanks in like the late 80s.
Okay.
So, like Friday Night. What? You broke up there a little bit.
Neighbors, it's a theme.
Yeah, nosy. Oh, my neighbors yell at each other all the time.
I yell at my neighbor all the time.
Oh no, we tweet about it a lot. So, where are we? Watching, and then I don't know what takes his. I have a question. Maybe they answered it. What takes his friends so long to come hang out with him?
His friends in Mexico for the summer.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, they talked about it, and he's like, I'm looking at these hot babes. And in the first intro scene, when he's in Spanish class, he's talking
you're
about
right.
He's going to Mexico.
I was to say, yeah.
You were paying attention to the joke in English as opposed to listening to what he was saying in Spanish.
You're absolutely right, because I'm like, I figured he went on. So, Carrie-Anne Moss, his mother, cuts his power off, cuts his TV out. I mean, it was just a gag, I really feel like. Because
No, I relate. Like, my parents got mad at me like that when I was a kid because I'd always be on the computer, so they'd always be like, no, and they'd like take the computer apart.
Sure, same.
Be putting it back together. And
I just said there has to be another TV in that house.
Maybe, yeah.
You're like, you see the size of that house? I got a 2-bedroom apartment. I got 3 TVs.
I know, but it's different. It was 2000s. They had a big house, but
they got money.
TVs.
They got money. Do you see a stereo?
No, because she works at a restaurant.
His dad. One of my notes is his dad was eclectic. His office had a bunch of shit in it.
I don't remember the office.
That's where he like.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, it's they filled the notes in of what's in there. So and he's going through voyeurism. He sees the girl. He starts watching the girl, and he's
she gets naked in a room.
Gets naked.
Completely just windows. Like it's like the entryway to the
and
back of the house, and it's just windows. Why is she getting naked in that room?
Why is she getting naked in those windows? And why are we supposed to be like, okay? He's like, okay, she swims at 1 p.m. and this is what I'm watching, and I get it. But at the same time, like I said, I just wish a little payoff.
So did you ever have a crush on your next door neighbor?
No.
Oh, okay. I did in high school.
Oh no,
I have to say, like,
I get the behavior. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. It's fun in the movie. It's just, I think that's why I'd like her to have a little pop to her of like, what the fuck were you doing? Because then I'm going to jump all the way. The most egregious scene in this whole goddamn movie is she's throwing a party for a town she just moved into like 2 weeks ago. And then leaves the party. The amount of anxiety I'd have leaving that party to go anywhere because there's people in my house would be out of this control. And that's when I say
she leaves the party and then never goes back to the party.
So this movie's just so horny. That's all it is.
I told you that in the beginning.
Yeah, that's all. I wrote the horniest factor is 11. She's having a party with strangers.
Yeah. And then she goes to but my favorite part is she goes up to the balcony. She's like in his room, but they're on a balcony or on the roof or something, and he gives that speech. A speech that all teenage girls dreamt about for the rest of their lives. They were like, he saw me for me. And they cut to her, and
Did he?
I shit you not, they cut to her, and they had a fan on her. She was like, her hair was like.
Did she though? I'm not
Yes,
the fan, not the
did.
fan, not
they
the fan.
Did. She's looking at him, and she's like,
oh no, that I'm saying.
It was ridiculous.
Was this speech that good? Because they're watching that speech going, what?
I remember the words from so many of the scenes of this movie because I watched them over and over.
Okay,
and
so it's true.
You
So
are clearly not into this movie.
I liked it.
No, but like not in the way that I was.
No. I remember seeing it. I've seen it. It was like, that was fun. That's it. One thing I did skip over though, and the point of the horrorness of this is he starts suspecting his neighbor is this serial killer they're putting on the news, and because of a car report. My one thing about that is, why didn't he call about the car? Why didn't he call the hotline immediately? Like, that shit's anonymous. But anyway, he's investigating it, and then he gets what's her name? I'm just gonna keep calling her girl, and
Cassie.
Ashley. He gets Ashley.
Ashley? I thought it was Cassie.
It says Ashley.
Oh, I must have made that up.
So she gets Ashley into the in on it, and Ronnie, and they're watching, and they see it, and then there's the flirtation going on, and they play the Lou Rawls, and I'm like, keep playing Lou Rawls. This is just good music. And then but then there's nothing. Murder happens after these guys leave, right?
Yeah.
After his friends leave, and no one believes them. And that's also a big thing with these movies. What was the
first murder? I don't remember. It wasn't the redhead from the club?
She was already murdered, like...
Well, yeah, because we find out later, lol, that he wore the wig, and that it was never her leaving.
Yeah. So... she would, like, every girl that he brought back into that house was murdered.
Yes.
That's so, I think at the end of this, we have 3 kills, I want to say. The 2 girls and the cop.
2 in the basement, and then 1 in the...
Oh, I wasn't even counting the corpses. I just imagined this guy stacked these bodies around. So we get a little detail. We get like detail that he hides the bodies
in the house.
In the houses, and they say this about a house that is probably his also when he lived in Austin.
Yeah.
But
and they can't smell it.
That it would reek. Back to the party though. This is where earlier I mentioned like this movie's cut really weird. At least is like that's like, and it just cuts. The party's happening. They hook up. And it cuts right to then the detective montage. Like, it cuts to her following, like, there's no in between of, like, they've hooked up. Oh, we got to find what's wrong with him. It's like they hook up, and then it cuts right to them trying to get, tail him so Ronnie could get into the house.
Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just cut really weird. Because there should be
it cut really weird because they were still making out. And later on in the day. But the party, I guess.
Oh, you were okay. There was a transition.
She was like, okay, I remember. He's on top, and he's getting on top of her onto the bed. I remember this all very well. And then they hear something or see something or whatever, and then they stop. And then they start doing detective work.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. It's just an odd, like, there needs to be a scene.
It's a really weird cut. I agree.
So, okay, I know exactly where I'm at with my notes now. And then we really switch tones though, and then it hits like a thriller horror, and we get to see David Morse act.
Yeah.
And
I want to. My note says, "Wait, she just left her party to make out with him."
Exactly.
My note. Sorry, I just needed to address.
No, you grabbed my Yeah, grab my note.
I
So
want to say, though, as an aggressive feminist, I do like that they work together in the montage and that she's not a damsel in distress.
no,
They
no,
work
she doesn't.
together to fight the guy.
No, she doesn't. I liked with her character that you know, she goes to attack him too later on in the house.
Yeah,
I mean, personally, I thought that man would kill
both of them.
all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
With all four of them, with no hesitation, no
Very unrealistic.
But I mean, it's not a realistic movie. But I was like, oh wait, because that's where like it sucks to say, and I was buying into it. I kind of really forgot. I forgot the second half of this movie. I remember the houses and the body.
The scary part of the movie, I just don't even remember it.
Oh, I forgot about Ronnie's whole like storyline. Like I was like, shit, they killed him. That sucks.
Gets stuck there, and how he leaves his back.
Yeah, forgot that whole that. I actually bought it. I was like, oh shit, he's in the closet. Like, but so yeah. First of all, when they do that, right, and he's in the thing and he has the camera.
Yeah. And
he's in the house because they send Ronnie in to investigate, to get the codes. And we
I can't believe they just forced Ronnie to do it.
Oh, Shia, my main, Shia's the worst boyfriend and friend ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Because none of this should be happening.
But I guess technically he couldn't go anywhere. So that's
no, but he advises them all to do these things.
Yeah. Really.
Like, it's not. And God. So the one scene though, because this is a little bit of a horror scene, and it's more the creepiest part is David Morris, Mr. Turner, projects cool guy energy. Like he's just like he's trying to be this, like, I mean, sarcastically, like a cool guy, like slick. Yeah. I mean, I have slick back hair, but like slick back gray hair, the earring, like
it's funny. He might have projected that. And like,
well, this is what he's trying to do because when
but like all I see, like all like I'm capable of seeing in him when watching this movie is like old man.
Yeah, no, that I was actually going to ask you that.
Only because I can only view this movie through my like teenage eyes.
I was going to ask you, like, is he coming off as a like handsome older man that thinks he could pull Sarah?
He absolutely is. If I didn't watch this movie when I was 17, I probably would have a different view.
Okay. Because he's doing the same. I mean,
he's going out with women my age.
Oh, I know. I mean, he's been saying movie, but that's a movie world, dude. That's
no, totally. But that's not. I mean, that's the real.
No, that's realistic. But I just was wondering that. I'm like, is he? Because he's a tall guy. He's not ugly. No. But he corners her, and it's the creepiest scene of the movie to me. He gets in her car, takes the keys out.
Bad. I hate that scene. Scary.
It's scary. It's scary.
Entitlement.
It's just entitlement, and I think in that moment he does not think I believe him as you're flirting with me. Like I'll make this happen.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I had feelings about that. Yeah. Because I remember that scene as a kid and being really creeped out by it.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be.
Like, it's one of those things where maybe I just, like, missed it when I was that age. But, like, I couldn't imagine an older man, like, an older man, like, hitting on me that hard as a 17-year-old.
No.
But it so happens, and it's so normal that it happens. But it's, unfortunately, but I just, like, it just...
No, it's creepy.
It's
the creepiest scene in the whole movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just from a level of take it out of the movie, show it to someone, it's creepy. I think no matter how you cut it. Creepy. So that scene does happen. She stalls him. She's supposed to be stalling him. And Ronnie gets out of the garage and they're cool. And like, I'm kind of cutting around here, like towards the end. I think this is when the movie loses its legs a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of like wrap it up already.
Yeah, and they is this when he gets the camera back from him and he sees the body in the vent, or is that a different? There's two break-in scenes.
They see the camera. Yes.
After.
Okay, they break in and
he leaves his phone.
Shia runs over because Ronnie is there.
Yeah, because he had to get his phone back.
Called and he thinks it's fine, but he's like at the door with the bat. And then the cops come, and then he goes back, and that's when we find out Ronnie's in the cab in the closet with the camera. Mm-hmm. And then he pulls out the camera, and they look at the camera, and Ronnie's like, "I'm fine, haha," because he jokes that he's like in the closet, and it's not a funny joke. And then they look at the camera, and that's when they realize that there's a body in there. And meanwhile, cut to Shia's mom is trying to make sure that the cops don't arrest Shia.
Yeah, she's doing her job.
Yeah, she's doing her job. So she's going over there to make sure that David Morse doesn't press charges for her son breaking in. And that's when they find out there are bodies, and then they know the mom is over there. And then that's when like the thunder and the lightning begin. And
yeah, that's when we get this. That's when we get pure horror, and there's even like very signs of the time, like so Shia then runs over, bashes Carrie-Anne Moss in the head, and
so Shia doesn't bash Carrie.
No, David Morse does.
David Morse does.
Yeah, and Shia's like, fuck, I gotta get over there, takes that, but he doesn't do that.
He's getting mixed up. Reflection of David Morse.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he hits.
What happens? Ronnie is downstairs getting.
And he gets whacked with the bat.
Yeah. Wait. So Ronnie is downstairs getting a snack, and Shia is watching the video, and he starts screaming at the top of his lungs for his friend to come upstairs because he realizes that this all is happening, which is weird that he can't go find his friend. He's just screaming and not moving, and then his friend is standing at the railing of the stairs, looking up the stairs, being like doesn't move, just doesn't move. Like if you hear someone screaming, like you're gonna move.
It's also nonchalant, and
that's when David Morse whacks him in the head with a metal bat.
And he should be dead. He should be dead. And he just at the end has a big black eye. Spoilers. And what's funny is, do you remember when Ronnie's in the vent? By the way, terrible place to have a body, unless it was not a working vent. But he was like, I have the only quote I'm going to share here because it. So the director encouraged the actors to ad-lib lines that teens would say.
Okay.
Because what he wanted to go for of this movie, director, I haven't mentioned it yet, is DJ Carousel.
Okay.
Is he wanted to make a John Cusack thriller. John Cusack meets Alfred Hitchcock meets Brian De Palma.
Okay.
So that's what he wanted. The sign says the corpse is a rotting hottie. I even think my fucking fucked up 17-year-old mind would not, and with the dead body in that situation would have been like, yo, she's stacked. Yeah. So that's the one line where I'm like, that had to have been ad-libbed. That had to have been the actor.
I don't know. If anything, actually, I don't think that would have been ad-libbed because who in their right mind would actually say that? Like when I read the script, often the worst lines are definitely written.
So that was the one line of the whole movie that I was like, huh? Because it doesn't fit the scene. It's for the comedy. It's for us. I'm sure you and me laughed.
The character is so
he's supposed to be a stoner
or teen crass.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the stoner. That's what he shows up. He's supposed to be. Yeah,
they allude to the stoner culture a lot without ever showing it.
Yeah, 2007.
What was it?
Because I got high.
Yeah, that's on.
Yeah, the Afro Man. So yeah, Ronnie gets absolutely murked, and then
that's when he's looking in the computer and he sees the reflection behind him,
and he ducks.
At that fight, which in no world would he come out alive.
So
manages all of that.
Do you know how tall each of them are? Like I said, I know this is movie and like there's magic and
David Morse is tall.
He's 6'4".
And Shia LaBeouf is not.
He's 5'9". I wrote this shit down. He's 5'9".
Yeah.
And I believe Sarah Romero is also like everyone else is 5'9".
Sarah Romero is 5'7" or something.
Or something. They're all within that.
She's a model, and she's a model.
Okay. So anyway, they have this fight, and then Shia ends up over his house, and they have at it. But then he goes into his like mystery basement where he keeps everything.
Which
and
is
then,
wet?
Oh, the basement makes no sense. Why is it flooding?
How is it like a wet?
Now, so, and by the way, I don't watch movies this like, we're dissecting because we're talking the pod, and even this podcast. I think this is the most I've like in detail like discussed this to like nitpicky. Did you notice what the plastic sheet was over in the like the Saw room?
No.
Because I think it's a mistake. Like I think it's supposed to be hidden, like because it's a pool table. I paused it. Remember the plastic sheet was like it looked like a Dexter room.
Oh yeah, but maybe he uses his pool table as like a dissection table.
Maybe, but it was just it was the only thing I've never commented on a set like that. But I was like, it's weird. But yeah, the basement. And what's interesting is, so this is supposed to be California, and I know nothing about the West Coast of California, but I'm a big fan of the movie Zodiac, David Fincher's Zodiac. I think it's what probably the best movie made in. Actually, it came
with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes, and Mark Ruffalo and.
I've never seen it. I'm gonna read it.
It actually came out this same year, 2007. I think it's the.
Yeah, I remember because I remember wanting to watch it, but being like, I'm gonna be too scared.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best movies made of that decade in all time.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
But in that movie, there's a scene where they talk about California basements, and they don't really exist. Like it's not a state where basements exist that often. So maybe that's part of the flooding. I'm just guessing here.
No, I mean they get droughts. Why are they flooding?
I don't know. It was weird. I like that you called basement. And then he sees the body. And this is
all this happens.
And this is I know I've recommended a lot of movies in this podcast. I do think you should watch the Fright Night remake. I think it's on Hulu. I mentioned that a few times because DreamWorks also made that, and there's so many similarities. Like there's a similar ending, and then like if you really want to see a hammy Colin Farrell performance and a hammy David Tennant performance, great movie.
Okay.
But actually there's two. Sorry, it was really hard not to compare those two.
The basement, the smell again.
The smell, they'd be puking.
All of the smell. There's rotting bodies and there's wet basement. That is one stinky fucking house.
Oh, but the guy's so concerned about his garden.
No.
Also, who catches a rabbit like that?
Someone who's into killing creatures.
Yeah. Well, he's really similar.
And I want to say that the wig is cheap justification. Oh, he just had a red wig lying around.
Well, it's the same thing of the red wig, and then at one point the cops come and they find the deer because Shia is like, check the garage, and I thought the same thing. Like, well, he hit the deer. Also, we just letting that sit around for a few days to smell. Like, any detective would be like, that's weird. People don't do that, sir.
Yeah, like, what the fuck is a deer in your house doing? Why do you have a dead deer in your house?
Like, you would drive, like, if you hit a deer and you were concerned about that, I imagine you would drive to a place to compose of that deer. Not your garage.
Not in your backyard. I feel like you can get in trouble for having giant dead animals in your backyard.
So I do, yeah. And could we just comment? I know keep saying that, but like, I have a note here because I do think in today's day, Shia, if he was on house arrest and this was going on with that murder case, Not even his neighbor. He would have he would have a true crime podcast.
Probably.
He would be so bored he'd start that up.
Maybe.
I don't know. That was.
I don't know.
I do like this ending.
Made a podcast. I've listened to a bunch though.
And you're on a couple.
I'm on a couple.
And I like this ending. I do like the ending though. I like this bit. Do like how the movie wraps itself up. Because especially as like a teen thriller, I do like a happy ending. Like yeah, there's the movie person in me that's like, oh, give me the morbid ending. Give me the Black Christmas ending. Like things aren't okay. Like I like the thing this movie ends with. It's all okay.
It's a blockbuster. They're not gonna end it sad.
Well, excuse me. It's like I said. It's a
blockbuster.
It's a Steven Spielberg production too. So you have the key elements of like neighborhood whimsy, not perfect families. Like that's a huge thing in like the Spielbergs, and like there's a sense of wonder to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they fight. And Morris, I don't know. I feel like the movie just had to end, so he falls onto and impales himself.
The scissors. He uses the scissors from the garden.
Yeah, all this foreshadowing. Yeah. But I didn't watch all the special features on this movie, but there's definitely a scene or two missing.
Well, also what I would say is like, and then Viola Davis comes over again, and she's like, "You're good.
No one's ever got off of good behavior.
You're good," but like, there's no investigation or trial or anything.
And that's another thing. Like, what's the time jump there, right? Like, we don't get
no idea.
Like
the next day, it looks like.
So, like in the Burbs, the Tom Hanks movie I'm talking about, right? There's no follow up to that. Like that movie, and I mean, the movie's almost 40 years old. That movie ends with like your neighbor climax, and it's just that street. It's the Die Hard ending, right? Like let's walk away. Like let's walk away from everything. Like this probably should have had that, not the follow up, but it's the teen ending, so it's like.
Well, and then he has to just, he has those robes, and he's like, "Here I am." Yeah. I loved it as a teen.
Everyone's good. Yeah.
Everything's fine until you go away to college next year. Everything's ruined.
Well, yeah, they're gonna break up. He's gonna get too drunk at a frat party and do something he regrets, and she's gonna like kind of be doing the same thing, but not share. It plays itself. And this movie was successful enough that I did a bit of Googling today on like a movie website, and in like 2008, it was like sequel planned. It's never gonna happen. That was probably
2008. The sequel was planned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was in development at some point. So that's what happened. I mean, the movie is a hit. The movie was a bona fide hit. It was a $20 million budget, and its box office was $118 million.
$29 million budget.
20.
Okay.
And $118 million.
$118 million? Wow, movies don't make that anymore.
No, today this movie would be dumped onto a streaming service. I as just a movie fan, I really miss the middling I say this all the time. I miss the middling like thriller blockbuster, like the movies we saw in the 90s or like the 2000s. Like movies like this don't come out very often. I don't think. I was trying to find a similar comparison to something that's maybe come in the last 5 years that has this like pop. Like this is a pop movie. This is like this poppiness, this feel good. Like I said, like my wife sat down with me and watched an hour of this with me, and then she had to go out, but she's able to watch it. Like she's like, yeah. And like movies like that don't happen. They're either in the horror world, they're either dark thrillers, like this would be a dark thriller with no joy.
Yeah.
Or an art house film.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think about that too, how I miss the appeal that came from movies. Like there was something from like culturally at that time, you would wait for those movies to come out. But like right now, like for example, I just saw that like half of the movies that are in the theater are on like HBO Go.
Yeah.
There's no reason to even go to the theater unless you're desiring the experience. And don't get me wrong, I love going to see the movies, but I just don't go that much anymore because
we're going Thursday to go see Spider-Man, but it's because of it's because I don't want to get spoiled.
The only movies that are blockbusters nowadays are fucking superhero movies.
Yeah.
And I'm over that.
Oh, hey, I have a bit of a burnout. I have a burnout too. I do a burnout of like a lot of the superhero stuff. Like I said, I'm going to see this Spider-Man. It's like nostalgic and everything. But like this weekend, Steven Spielberg had West Side Story come out.
Oh yeah, that is a blockbuster.
And no one went to go see it because no one cares about a musical right now, right?
A lot of people went to go see it, I feel like.
No, it was, and I'm not saying the movie itself, it was a bomb, and it was just financially. That's what we're talking about.
Oh wow, I didn't actually know that, but they said the same thing about
No, I made like 10 million.
They expected that to be huge.
It made like 10 million. Anyway, that's not this podcast. But my point being of that, do you want to add anything else about Disturbia or anything? I feel like we talked a lot about.
We did. I mean, honestly, it was a nostalgic romp for me. I had a fun time watching this painting today. I sometimes watching old movies that I like idolized or was obsessed with when I was younger, it just floods me with emotions of how I felt at the time, which I like forgot about. So that was like knowing the lines. I knew the lines.
I couldn't believe you knew the lines. That's the one thing that surprised me. I'm so glad you picked it though, because it was a little nostalgic. I'm glad to revisit it sometimes, because I didn't. At the end of the day, I did enjoy it. We chat on it for quite a bit, but I did enjoy it. I own it now. I'll probably watch it at some point. But yeah, it's a good thriller. It's the teen version of a dad movie. It's enjoyable. It's a good Sunday afternoon watch. So with that, where can the people find you, and what do you gotta?
Oh yeah, totally. You can find me on Instagram mostly. I'm on Twitter also. Same handle, which is @MonaLisaSmiles. So not Alyssa, but Alyssa.
Yeah, they'll be we'll put them in the descriptions.
You can reach out to me on Twitter or Instagram, but I really don't check Twitter.
Cool.
I don't know.
And we check Twitter all the time. You can find us at Flyover State of Film handle or Flyover State of Fear. Shendango1 on Twitter. That's my personal handle. And you'll just get a bunch of crap tweeted in your timeline if you follow that. But if you probably listen to this show, you probably do that. So stay frightful, everyone. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Welcome to Flyover State of Fear.